Can you hear me? Take it you can't.
Me too. Hi, Tom. Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
Tom, I can. Yes, I can hear you.
So I'm coming through. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, yes, you are okay. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Today's lesson 104. I seek but what belongs to me in truth. Looks like everything's working. We're good to go. What do you say we go have ourselves a reading and a wonderful day? hmm There's always a couple of things I forget, though. All right, moderators. I'm going to invite everybody up real quick through this guy. So feel free to come if you feel like it. Good morning. Hello, Tamara. Hello, Bill. Hello, Carolyn. I hope you guys are ready for a wonderful day. I'm going to turn this music down a little bit and get to the readings. There, that seems about right. All right, workbook lesson 104. I seek but what belongs to me in truth. Speak now if there's anything I'm doing wrong or you can't hear right, so I can fix it before we get started. I've got my pages straight. All right, hearing nothing from anybody, I'm going to assume silence means assent, and we're all happy and it's good, it's working. Oh, let's see, one thing I've done wrong. Get Mr. Tom in here. When I say pin you in, that means on Zoom, I pin you in place so that it stays in the right place on the presentation mode. I have space where Tom and Dad and Adriana belong. That's okay. Look, I got a replacement you. It's me. All right. Lesson 104. I seek but what belongs to me in truth. Today's idea, that I seek but what belongs to me in truth, continues with the thought that joy and peace are not but idle dreams. Joy and peace are your right because of what you are as God's child. Joy and peace come to you from God, who cannot fail to give you what God wills. Yet there must be a place made ready to receive God's gifts. Joy and peace are not welcomed gladly by an egoic split mind that has instead received the gifts that the egoic split mind made where God's gifts belong as substitutes for the joy and peace God gives us. Today, we would remove all meaningless and self-made gifts by our fear-based thought system, which we've placed upon the holy altar where God's gifts of joy and peace belong. God's gifts are the gifts that are our own in truth. God's gifts are the gifts that we inherited before time was, and that will still be ours when time has passed into eternity. God's gifts are the gifts that are within us now, for God's gifts are timeless, and we need not wait to have God's gifts. They belong to us today. God's gifts are our divine inheritance. All right. I see what's wrong over here. All right. Well, the video is messed up, but I'm just going to keep going. You can read the stuff anyway. Therefore, we choose to have God's gifts now. And know, in choosing God's gifts in place of what we made with our fear-based thought system, we but unite our will with God's, with what God wills, and recognize the same wills as being one. Our longer practice periods today, the hourly 5 minutes given truth for your salvation, should begin with this: I seek what belongs to me in truth, and joy and peace are my inheritance. Dad, you want to read the next couple of paragraphs? Sorry to spring it on you there. Helps to have coordination with the guy running the thing, so it's totally my fault, but it's paragraph number 4. Then lay aside
the conflicts of the ego's fear-based world that offer other gifts and other goals made of illusions based on the ego's belief in lack, limitation, and separation, witnessed to by the appearance of a body and sought for only in a world of egoic dreams based on separation.
You had the same issue I had.
Yeah, well,
I called you into play because I had to cough my head off. I'm sorry, Papa.
go ahead.
Oh,
Can you get up now?
I don't have it straight either. All right, lay aside the conflicts of the ego's fear-based world that offers other gifts and other goals made of illusions based on the ego's belief in lack, limitation, and separation, witnessed to by the appearance of a body and sought for only in a world of egoic dreams based on separation. All these conflicts and beliefs that arise from ego's fear-based thought system we lay aside and seek instead that which is truly ours. As we ask to recognize what God has given us, we clear a holy space within our split minds before God's altar, where God's gifts of peace and joy are welcome, and to which we come to find what has been given us by God. We come in confidence today, aware that what belongs to us in truth is what God gives. And we would wish for nothing else, for nothing else belongs to us in truth. All right, you see where I'm at, Papa?
Yes.
Thank you. You put your smell on mute, Papa.
Oh.
No big deal. Got this. Thank you.
So do we clear the way for God today by simply recognizing that God's will is done already and that joy and peace belong to us as God's eternal gifts. We will not let ourselves lose sight of God's eternal gifts of joy and peace between the times we come to seek for God's gifts and where God has laid them, which is Lee, I have a block here on my screen that I can't
Papa.
uncover what it says.
Okay. I'm sorry. My goodness, do we have technical difficulties
We're
today? All right, I've got.
second line from the bottom.
Okay, okay. All right. So, do we clear the way for God today by simply recognizing that God's will is done already and that joy and peace belong to us as God's eternal gifts? We will not let ourselves lose sight of God's eternal gifts of joy and peace between the times we come to seek for God's gifts and where God has laid them, which is within our Christ consciousness of our higher self. This reminder will we bring to mind as often as we can. This will be the line I copy into the chat so you guys can keep this with you today. I seek what belongs to me in truth. And God's gifts of joy and peace are all I want. Those are the phrases to keep in your pocket today for the threshold of every. Here we go. There's the little phrase. I'm going to read the notes, and then I'm going to read the lesson entirely as we do the meditation. So I think those words from the Circle of Atonement edition are less repetitive, and we'll get the ideas again as we try and get down into a little bit of a lower level state. Notes to lesson 104. I seek what belongs to me in truth. This lesson asks that you seek what belongs to you in truth, rather than seek to acquire the false egoic gifts of the physical world. This is an ongoing and continuing problem that needs to be addressed and resolved. If your ego does not know who you truly are, it will be unable to realize what will make you happy or recognize when you are truly happy. The ego will mistake pain for happiness and value conflict over peace. It will value the transient over the eternal. Since your ego perceives yourself to be your body, it will value what it believes will make your body safe. The ego believes that you are limited, suffer from lack, and are incapable of surviving unless you're taking what you need from others. It sees the world as a zero-sum game. If you're to win, someone must lose. Because of this, your ego perceives a fear-based world in which attack is a useful tool in helping you obtain the limited resources that the ego believes it needs to survive. Your ego's world is seen as a place of struggle, conflict, pain, and suffering. Therefore, joy and happiness are not highly valued. Instead, manipulation, control, attack, and your ability to hold grievances are deemed more important for your survival. If you are your body and the body is you, the body's self-defense and maintenance are fundamental to what your ego's thought system most highly values. Coming from this misperception that you're limited and lacking, your ego develops its own plan for your safety. The task of your ego is to argue for its plan's rightness rather than your happiness. Your ego always wants to be right and doesn't give a crap about happiness. Your ego claims you're not the source of your own experiences, but rather a victim of outside forces that are beyond your control. Your ego's plan seeks to manage and manipulate these outside forces so that you can obtain the necessary things you need for its survival. Blame, shame, guilt, plus your ability to attack and hold grievances are all highly valued as weapons for manipulation, getting your own way, and proving your ego is right. Because your ego believes you're the victim of outside sources that are beyond your control, it places a high value on obtaining gifts from outside forces. Your ego is constantly seeking a good deal and values obtaining the items that it believes it needs for as low of a price as possible. Unfortunately, when you follow your ego's plan, you are seeking happiness, joy, and love in all the wrong places. You need a new plan that will value your happiness over your ego's need to be right. Joy, peace, and happiness are your divine birthright because they are God's gifts to His creation. These gifts are freely given and constantly available to everyone, but they must be freely accepted by the recipient. Unconditional love does not force you to accept these gifts. Instead, unconditional love waits patiently until you're willing to receive the joy, peace, and happiness that flow from your source. Stop valuing your ego's Stop valuing your ego's false plans for your happiness and start listening to the voice for truth that God has placed in you. The Holy Spirit will lead you to the joy, happiness, and love and peace that you seek, since that is what is God's will for you. In this play school of time and space, your function is forgiveness, your purpose is love, and your destiny is the peace of God. Follow the Holy Spirit's guidance and reclaim the joy, happiness, love, and peace that is your destiny. When you mistaken the question of the day is going to be, when you mistaken the game token of the body to be who you really are, your ability to attack and be attacked becomes the focus of your ego's attention. Coming from this viewpoint, can you see why a friend's ability to attack and hold grievances against your enemy would be a precious gift that your ego would highly value? I'll copy that into the chat. And let's take a minute get into a little bit of a lower state of mind. Right? We want to get closer to the theta state, where our thoughts slow down to the point where we can really get some creative help in the world. Question is too long to paste in here, so I'm going to paste a subset of it. There we go. We'll do that. All right. That's the second half of it. Goodness. All right. So the little chat thing can only take so long of a paragraph before it doesn't allow you to paste. So the question is upside down in the chat, but it's in there, and we can use that later on. So let's become connected to the surface beneath us. I'll read through 104 one more time, and we'll have a nice, smooth reading to take with us into the rest of the day. All right. What I want you to do is take a couple of deep, deep breaths as you kind of prepare to let breathing slow down your body. A deep breath can help us reconnect to our heart rate. And today will help it reconnect to our mother planet that we all share. So let's come back to that. Nice deep breath in. Hold it for a moment or two. Control. Feel each of the points along your spine. Opening up as you take deep breaths. Open your chest up. Roll your shoulders back. Let your belly expand a little bit so your lungs can fill as deep as possible. Breath so you can get every bit of oxygen out of it. Exhale with control so that you are in control of your muscles. Feeling this deep breath. Let's take an 8-second breath, deep breath, deeping as deep as you can go today. A nice deep breath. And when you get your lungs completely filled, hold that breath inside your lungs so they can take a moment to get all the oxygen out. And let that breath go with control. And use your diaphragm to push your lungs up so they're completely empty. Take a moment to let each of your chakras light up. From the bottom in red, slowly to your belly in yellow, your heart, lungs, throat, to your mouth, to the top of your head in purple. Each of the chakras lighting up like the rainbow will create a white light, our true energy, where our soul is. And that light shines much brighter than our bodies. It inhabits a space much bigger than our bodies. Our souls are bigger than our bodies are. And that's how we know we're a part of God. Today, I seek what belongs to me in truth. Today's idea continues with the thought that joy and peace are not but idle dreams. They are your right because of what you are. They come to you from God, who cannot fail to give you what he wills, yet must there be a place made ready to receive his gifts. They are not welcomed gladly by a mind which has instead received the gifts it made, where his belong, as substitutes for them. Today, we would remove all meaningless and self-made gifts we've placed upon the holy altar where God's gifts belong. These are the gifts which are our own in truth. These are the gifts which we inherited before time was, which will still be ours when time has passed into eternity. These are the gifts which are within us now, for they are timeless, and we need not wait to have them. They belong to us today. Therefore, we will have to have them now, and know, in choosing them in place of what we made, we but unite our will with God's wills and recognize the same as being one. Our longer practice periods today, the hourly 5 minutes given truth for your salvation, should begin with this: I seek but what belongs to me in truth, and joy and peace are my inheritance. Then lay aside the conflicts of the world, which offer other gifts and other goals made of illusions, witnessed to by them and sought for only in a world of dreams. All this we lay aside and seek instead that which is truly ours, as we request to recognize what God has given us. We clear a holy space within our minds before his altar, where his gifts of peace and joy are welcome, and to which we come to find what has been given us by him. We come in confidence today, aware that what belongs to us in truth is what he gives, and we would wish for nothing else, for nothing else belongs to us in truth. So do we clear the way for him today by simply recognizing that his will is done already, and that joy and peace belong to us as his eternal gifts. We will not let ourselves lose sight of them between the times in which we seek for them, where he has laid them. This reminder will we bring to mind as often as we can. I seek but what belongs to me in truth. God's gifts of joy and peace are all I want. That is today's meditation. Let's take a minute, get back into our bodies a little bit, shake out these muscles, let an earphone drop out of my head a little bit. Everything is okay. Then we will come back to each of the things that we need today to be with. Okay, everybody, today I did the best I could, and I'm going to say it's good enough, but I'd love to hear your voice. Today was a little bit awkward, but let's just do the best we can with what we've got. And absolutely, buddy, I will bring your controllers. We got it covered. Promise.
So good morning, everybody. How are you? I I am very happy to see you all here, and I would love to hear from everybody. Yesterday I have talked about some experiences. Today really, yeah, it's just a blessing to be here, and of course, I seek what belongs to me in truth. God's gift of joy and peace are all that I want. I do wanna hear something from Kayam if it's possible. I want to know how he found A Course in Miracles, because I really enjoy when he participated the other day in our session. So, Kayam, welcome. And if you can share with us your story about how you found Course in Miracles, I will appreciate it, because I really enjoyed your participation the other day. And welcome to Amy Joe down below. I already sent you an invitation to speak. I know that you couldn't take it, but if you want to share with us as well, I will gladly pull you up if you raise your hand. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Hello everybody. Peace.
Good morning.
Good morning. I woke up and I saw the notification, so I just joined in. Um, yeah, so how the Course in Miracles found me. I usually say people, I usually ask people, and usually the book finds them, or they usually have the book and they never look at it.
Yeah, that's sad.
But um, my father's side of the family, they have like holistic supplement stores and things like that. And one time around 2017, I was working at my uncle's store, and I always love to interact with my customers, so I always like to ask what they do and things like that. So one time, one person, he piqued my interest, and started talking, and he said he was a professional Twitch streamer, played video games, and then he said he was also a teacher. But I wasn't too investigative back then. And then eventually in 2019 something happened with another friend, and I essentially just sent out a call for love, and he was essentially the only person who saw the truth inside of me. And then I think in 2020 is when I actually started reading the book, and it took me a while on and off to even start to read it, because when I would first start to read this book, I think one of the effects of reading this book is that it makes you tired instantly, because what it does is it starts deconstructing your ego, and your body tries to put itself to sleep. Um, but long story short, yeah, I have a teacher. He studies the course for about 7, 8 years, and he found it when he was in prison. So um he's been studying for a while, and I'm part of a WhatsApp group. Um, Obviously, Clubhouse is more like private and things like that, But yeah, I love reading the course. I read it every day whenever I can. I love talking about it. Um, and yeah, thanks for letting me speak.
Thank you, Kim, for letting us know that part of your story with the Course in Miracles. And can I ask you something? So the teacher that you mentioned that is a Twitch streamer, he is still a Twitch streamer. Can you give me the name so I
Yeah,
can
he's
search for
actually
him?
actually yesterday I was telling him about how there's like communities on this app, and he's gonna start using it. I can his ad is actually on here. It's the course, and it's the same thing on Instagram. So
Okay, thank you. That's super great. Well,
uh,
I
he's the he's the embodiment of the course. The best way to teach is to demonstrate,
to demonstrate, yeah.
right?
Thank God. Thank you, Kayam. I'm glad to have you here. I really enjoyed your participation the other day and today, of course. So God's gift of joy and peace are all that I want. I I have this question in my mind. Like, well, ever since you found A Course in Miracles, or the Course in Miracles found you. I mean, this is a question for myself and everybody. If we want to play a little bit here, is what is the best gift that you received ever since you have A Course in Miracles in your life? I can come up with some.
Oh yeah, you want to go first? Or...
No, 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 no. No, go ahead. I want just to place the question
Well,
because.
I'm gonna quote the book, and I'm gonna quote the principles of the miracles. Number three, no, number five. Miracles are habits and should be involuntary. They should not be under conscious control. Consciously selected miracles can be misguided. Miracles are natural. When they do not occur, something has gone wrong. Miracles are everyone's right. Uh, the point of this book is to improve your own life. So every single day, I'm being, every single second is a miracle if you think about it. But in terms of like my relationships with people, it's definitely improved. I'm definitely more understanding of what a sane relationship is, a sane loving relationship, and understanding my own space, and just like this book has pretty much just like, because I think in 2020, when I first found the book, I mean, when I first started reading it, in August, I was actually put in a situation where my teacher was and another friend, and there's an event that triggered like my PTSD, and I was actually sent to a psychiatric ward for 5 days because I was triggered um, so much, like my PTSD was triggered. But like, yeah, point being, this basically like is great to like cure any sort of defense mechanisms, aka insanity, aka mental illness.
So that's your best gift. Well, I'm glad.
Yeah,
Thank you.
just like doors, because you understand what the mind
Yeah.
is, right? So
Yeah.
you can go to anybody and just become best friends with them.
Yeah.
And I naturally do that. And the thing is, that's what my friend saw in me, is my innocence. He always saw that I was innocent. So
Yeah.
he was the only one who saw I was innocent. Everybody else projected guilt and blame onto me. So when you're innocent and you just Paramahansa Yogananda said that there's a magnet inside of your heart that will attract true friends, right?
Yeah.
So all you need to do is go sit in your home and just
Track
connect
your
with your true
friends.
self, and then the right people will come to you.
Yeah. That's nice. Yeah, really, it is. It is. I mean, it is part of the story of everybody in different
What is your
circumstances.
PT? What is your PTSD source? What did that come from?
Earlier in that year,
You
I
know,
went to I was supposed to help cover a store in Brooklyn, my cousin's store. I was supposed to help him cover it while his house was being flooded in Maryland, and what ended up happening was it was Friday. I was supposed to be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but Friday night, some other person who I just happened to be friends with, who was kind of spiritual or whatnot, his birthday was that day on July 17th, and that night, I was just like, because of my innocence, I didn't understand the situation of the people who are around me, and so they ended up like I was like put into a room with like 10 people and like beat up and like almost killed, and like my social security and all these things were like taken from me, and I had to walk from Harlem to Brooklyn in the middle of the night with nothing on me. And I talked to maybe 7 different police officers, and they all thought I was lying. It wasn't until I went to McDonald's in Brooklyn, and this like young black girl at the drive-through believed me, and then she called the cops, and then I was escorted home. But the reason being is that the reason why it triggered me is because if you want to know my who I consider my friend, and I gave him the course too. I actually gave him my first copy of the course. You know I love him. I love everybody, but I have no enemies. Enemies are illusion, but yeah. So he basically like kept violating my space, and like trying to play wrestle with me, and like I kept like actually taking him down and telling him to stop touching me multiple times, and like but he kept insisting on trying to touch me, and there was like very little communication from him as if he was trying to hurt me. So like what happened was I just got super angry and I just left the house and I was just screaming outside to myself, and they had to put me in handcuffs for a little bit because of how angry and excited and eerie I was. I didn't hurt anybody, but they just saw that I needed to relax, so they put me in psych ward.
I
For like,
totally get that.
but what's interesting is that what's interesting is actually like multiple doctors told me that I was the fastest recovery patient they've ever seen in their history. Because in 5 days I was supposedly diagnosed with like psychosis and like some other stuff, but like in 5 days, like I never needed the meds in the first place. You know what I mean? So it's like um, when I was even in the psych ward, like, and I started to turn back to my true self, I started to instantly start to pray and meditate naturally. Because I always like to do that stuff. But yeah, I digress.
That's a great thing to know, Kayam, and I'm really happy that you get to have that kind of well, fast recovery. And you make me realize something. I do have a PTSD, and I didn't. Yeah, well, it's just that these kind of things are not so common in Colombia or in Latin America for us, like to pay attention to. I know for sure that here in the States, there have been more efforts to raise awareness in terms of mental health and all those things. And I do have a PTSD, and last night was triggered for some sound, and it now I get it. Now hearing your story, now I get now I get why I got so like in the ego mode. It's just that it's just a trigger that it's remembering you, that it's making you remember something from the past that was really painful, and it hasn't been released quite yet. I had this situation. I mean, I come from Colombia, and one day during early morning and Sunday, right across the corner of my own uh, home, of my place, I was living with my mom. I was like 17, 16 years or something. The guerrilla placed the explosive device around my block. So at the like 5 a.m., that thing blow up, and of course all the glass, all the windows in the house, and all the block from the place I was living in was damaged. And I never had that experience. That was the closest bomb that I had to experience, and it was really, really out of the blue. You are sleeping, and then you have this sound, and everything is just chaos. And ever since, when I'm asleep, chaos. Yeah, thank you. So ever since when I'm sleeping and I hear any sound, it doesn't matter if it is not like a huge sound. Every single time I wake up, but my wake up is really like how do you say when you wake up like with this surprise? Startled. Yeah, startled. Uh-huh. And
Jolt.
yeah, I wake up like with this kind of fear, and my mind starts to give me a hard time because my mind starts to feel sad, starts to feel angry, starts to feel annoyed, and nothing is happening. But it's just being waking up like out of the blue for me is really, really painful. So my mind really gave me a hard time last night because I was sleeping and I was really tired yesterday. And some sound came out from Lee's phone, and I startled. I was like waking up in that kind, and I had, and I began to cry, and I was feeling so like annoyed by having waking up. But it's all about that, and it's a small thing compared to what Kayam experienced. But in the end, it's one single problem. It's the same one single problem that you think that you are being harmed in the present because you had a past experience that was painful. And I could really walk my way through my moment last night, and it took a little bit of time. Um, but are those things from the past that I was really questioning last night, and I was asking help and asking Jesus help to just let like guidance, because I was feeling like, will I ever be free from the past? Will I ever be free from my past? Because those kind of things are small things. Nothing is happening, nothing is wrong, but are those kind of things that gives you the sense that you are stuck with your past still.
Did you
So
get an answer?
in fact, it was funny because I was with with tears in my eyes, trying to just calm myself, because I knew that it was like an ego tantrum what I was having, and I was praying to Jesus, and then Lee says, "You know what? I just have a deja vu," and I was, "What, a deja vu?" Yeah, but it's like from a past life, and I was, what a past. I mean, and I don't know. He started laughing because he thought it was like funny that he had that kind of feeling or idea in his mind, and he said, no, it's just like I feel like we were partners of grievance in the past, and so you can't release your grievance because now you have your partner in grievance. in and I got, and I really laughed because I was praying Jesus in that moment. He didn't know I was right there with my mind like trying to focus on Jesus, like saying, "Will I ever be at peace? Why is this happening to me? Why do I feel so sad and so annoyed by this?" And then he said, "Well, you now have a partner at least to be sad with." So I don't know. I just took it like an answer from Jesus, but it doesn't have to be like that. It's just that for me it was funny because in the same moment that I was praying, he said, "Oh, I had a deja vu," and it. I mean, it really is not like a huge miracle, but those small things for me are like them. Are really like the gift of being connected constantly with the idea of Jesus and God and all of these things. So I wanted to share this because really the book for me has been giving me gifts all over the way that I'm at right now, and I haven't even got a year. I mean, it hasn't passed a year still, and I have already seen so many changes and so many things around my life that are good that I want to share with the world, but it's all happening so fast. I wanted to share that for whatever is worth it.
I have a question. Oh, yeah, I have a question here, and whoever can answer this. So, as I'm listening to the stories that we tell or that we've told ourselves, and we believe that they have occurred. I mean, this includes me. I'm understanding more about memory, and I'm realizing that once I became aware for the first time, and this is how this is when memory began for me. Every experience kind of built on each memory, and it formed. Even memories now, we still seem to attach a new emotion to, or another emotion, or more of an emotion, unless we start to understand the mind and how these things work. We can't really release them. But I was thinking just now, well, I was remembering just now that I've heard many times people say, well, that really never happened. And then and I'm thinking, well, I wonder if that's why. I mean, I'm putting together, is it because we've it because it's been built upon. Each memory has been built upon. It even got built up to it, just like Course in Miracles is building us up from the ground up, from the truth, from day lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, etc. And so we're actually letting go of. At the same time, we're letting go of those stories. There's going to be a huge garbage truck going by, but that's my question, really. Like, is that a possibility as to why an occurrence that people have said an occurrence never really happened? And yeah, that's yeah, that's. I hope
But
I
I
made myself
thought, sorry,
clear.
I didn't understand quite well your question. Can you please say that again?
Well, Tom, I mean, I could try, but Tom on mic,
Okay.
maybe he understood it.
Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
I think I understood. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
you're
Oh,
super
okay,
great.
good. Um, so I think there's probably a misunderstanding of what never really happened. Uh, Time and space, of course, the Course in Miracles says is an illusion, is not your reality. And it's not your reality, not so much because you didn't experience that event, but that you misinterpreted what you misinterpreted the form for the content. You thought that the form of me abusing you or whatever it might be actually was something that had the ability to impact you and cause you to lose your inner peace, when really what you forgot about was the idea that we're just actors uh, running around on a stage pretending that we are that this is our reality. And so when we forgive, the Course of Miracles says forgiveness is, I forgive my brothers and sisters for what I thought they did that never really happened. Uh, they were actors in a play, and we mistake the role that individual played for uh, them actually trying to do that with intent. So whenever I forgive, like in my past, if I look at a situation where I was abusing somebody or they were abusing me, if I look at my past childhood, I realized that those were just it did actually happen. I did get, beat or whatever you might say. Those physical things did occur in time and space, but that was my game token. And the purpose of all those things, because there are no victims or victimizers, we're all willing volunteers here to learn lessons, was for me to absorb some type of lesson, whatever that might be. So, what we're forgiving is our own belief that somehow there was some circumstances that could cause us to lose our inner peace. So, we're not saying that the time and space history necessarily changed. Pearl Harbor was attacked, but that was just uh, something that happened in time and space, and the cause that we gave it, or the good or bad judgment, is immaterial. The Course says everything is neutral, all events are neutral, because they're all learning lessons designed on our own perfect path for us to reawaken to the truth. So I hope that
Oh, one more question
addresses it.
though. One more question. Yes, it really was cool, but did we give it that meaning because of a perception that we had, which was based
Yes.
on? Okay, so that was then that perception was based on on our memory of of of
Yeah,
things that we put
it was
together.
on yeah, it was on our story, and at that time we believed that I was the body was me, and that these people were actually trying to hurt me. And so I misperceived it, and I made it. The course says I forgot to laugh and didn't look at the learning lesson. I just got caught up in the drama and got sucked into the story, and that story was my interpretation, and then I judged it as good or bad, and I made myself a victim. So I made the uh, game of separation real in my own mind, and it became my what I'm going to call provisional reality. To me, it became the truth, and I really thought that someone, if I lost my body or my body got beat, that somehow I would be in pain, and that's what I perceived, and therefore uh, it did happen in time and space, but time and space is our play school for us to grow and learn and have experiences. So in Ending Fear, there's this a story about Mary, and we have to realize we're like Mary. Mary was a uh, expert on redness, and she knew everything there was about redness. If someone asked, they'd go to Mary because she'd know what vibration it was, what hue. If you quoted, she'd know every reference that Shakespeare ever said about roses or redness. She'd know everything. The only problem with Mary was that she was colorblind. And so she had never experienced what redness was. All her experiences were secondhand regurgitations of things she had read. And Mary longed to actually know what redness was. If we could wave a magic wand and uh, cure her color blindness, she'd say, "Oh, this is the first time I really experienced redness." So we've come here for the experience of actually having that personal relationship with a situation so that we could see what would love have us do. That's what we came here for the personal experience. We didn't want the book learning. We wanted to actually be love informed. And so that's why we're here. We have those experiences. They're learning lessons, and we need to uh, forgive the people that played those roles, including ourselves, for requiring those roles, and glean the learning lessons and continue to hone our skills. So, those events happen uh, on just a stage, and therefore they, in the Course of Miracles, says they have no ability to change what you truly are, and therefore they're not quote unquote real because uh, it has no effect. It's kind of like the dream again. If I dreamed I shot you, I don't have to serve the time. All that I have to do is wake up from the dream and realize that it was an illusion. Okay.
Yes, it was a complicated concept for me, and it was sort of a complicated answer, but I do think that I actually processed it, and if not, I'll be asking again. Thank you.
Tiffany, Tiffany wanted to share something. I saw her raising her hand, and I brought her up. So Tiffany, if you want to share something with us, it's your turn. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. And for those of you that know me, I keep things really simple. And there was so much education and so much beautiful correctness in everything that was said. But I just want to break it down just a little bit in case people are like me and they like simple. And I was just going to say that lesson number 1 says we give everything the meaning that it has for us. And I learned so much from that because, in all honesty, a wooden chair is a wooden chair until, in our recollection, somebody picks up that wooden chair and beats us with it. Then we walk past wooden chairs and they cause us to feel the same feelings that we had when we were injured, even though that chair is just a wooden chair. So, what it tells us is if you can bring your thoughts back to understand that even if one person did pick up a wooden chair and beat you with it, it's still a wooden chair. And what happens is we have to, those things, they imprint into our brain. And a release of those things can be very difficult. Our belief is that they can be really difficult, or we can make a few different thought changes. And really, that's all it is. And two, I wanted to make a little small suggestion. Don't forget also that, or maybe you haven't thought of it before, that there is a possibility, this is just my little humble thoughts, that we've been here before. We've done things before. And some of these things can be caused by thoughts and feelings that we get from things that happened to us before this reality. And our reality is just perception. But let's not forget that those perceptions can be really real to us. So sometimes, and the most compassionate person that I've ever seen was Jesus. And he remembers how things can really, really hurt us. So he lovingly says, remember, there's nothing to forgive. And remember, you and God are one. And you're beautiful and you're wonderful. And the way you are right now is perfect. I am complete. You guys have a fabulous day.
Thank you, Tiffany. That was super nice to hear too. Thank you very much.
There was another situation that happened since I don't know if I gave anybody enough time to on mic, but it's a situation that was really amazing for me yesterday. Not a situation, maybe an experience. Someone asked me what I saw did I see color when I closed my eyes? And of course, I can't just think that simply. I'm like, yeah, I guess if there's light outside and you can see through your eyelids, sometimes it shows a magenta and an orange, and just these really pretty colors will come, green even. And then I thought, but if there's not any of that, I don't see color out of my lids. Like if there's dark. And then I thought, when I actually think about something or put some idea together, if someone was to take me through a story and I'm close my eyes and I visualize this situation, even if they say the water's blue, I don't see blue. I do not see any color in that imagination. My mind has an idea of the color, and I would think of the energy probably of the color. I find that really, really interesting. 'Cause never have I heard someone ask me that question. And so, of course, like taking it on that deeper level, like in the imagination, I was like, I can't see a color. I know what the color is from experience, but I cannot see it, as if a blind person cannot see it, because I'm not looking with the visual eyes that have already that already believe or have been conditioned to see a color. It's really intriguing. Anyway, I thought I would bring that up because I thought that was quite an experience, and I think it somehow
But it
correlates.
make you feel good or
Yeah, yeah,
nice?
oh
Ah,
yeah,
great.
because it was a great experience because it
Yeah.
made me realize that how the imagine it just connected some things for me that how we
And
actually
it
perceive
validates the idea that it's
of
not real.
right, exactly, yes, thank you. It validates how our perception, yes, it sure does. For me it sure did. And yeah, I always appreciate something that knocks my socks off like that sort of did.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. So how is everybody else? If anybody has anything to share, I don't know. I have to say that if I don't, I want to say again, I'm sorry. It's just that I was thinking that probably I used this word wrong. What I When I was asking Jesus to help me to move from fear to love, when I when I was startled in the morning, in the early morning, what Liz said was release the grief. It's just that I have a problem with the word grieve because I confuse the word grieve with grievance, and it's totally different, right? So I didn't. I just want to make sure that I said that right. Release the grief because now you have a partner to grieve. It's something like that. What he said to me is different. It's different than holding a grievance on something, right? I'm asking this because I don't remember quite well if I said it right the first time.
You may have to repeat that for some reason.
I mean, the message was like release the grief,
Yeah, the grievance.
the grievance, but the grievance in terms of like sadness,
Oh,
not
grief. Okay.
grieve. Yeah, like when you are grieving something that you no longer have, or you no longer, that is
Yes,
no longer here, right?
I see.
Is that correct?
I think it is. I mean, at least that's the way I've understood it.
Okay. So
Yeah,
yeah. So release the grief
I think,
because
yeah.
because now you have a partner to grieve. It's like we were partners in the past on being in grief or something. That was something that I wanted to just set
Yeah,
straight
bring it
because
up.
it's different. It's different the grief from the
Oh,
grievance, right? The
grief.
word.
I always thought so. Um, I guess that would be a dictionary or a gloss or a dictionary word because to find out the meaning because or Google or something because I always thought grief I understood grievance differently the other day than I thought grievance was a sadness, but then we realized it was actually holding something against someone. So then when we have grief, but so then grief still somehow I still related it to a sadness, a loss. But yeah.
Exactly, that's my confusion because as my English is not so eloquent as my Spanish, so I tend to use. I mean, yeah, I tend to confuse grievance with grieving. So
Mm. You know, I'm sorry, but I feel like I'm stuck on this thought now that all right, I'm stuck on something else, but it's sort of, I don't know, for me, it's keeps triggering back to it anyway. And I think uh, well, when you look at something, all right, say you look at a person that you've seen a person, okay, you've been able to look at them here in the flesh and then they're not with you right now or whatever, and so you actually are not seeing them, but your mind's eye can see them still. But it's funny how you can't really see them the way you would when you saw them in the vision. So maybe that there feels like a loss. So like I'm thinking about like I don't know. I think I may be really assuming and reading into it because I know that you're not with your baby right now. And so I'm thinking, well,
and
if
it's
you're
so related to something that happened yesterday. I will tell you
sure.
about it. So if you want to finish and I will tell you about it because it's really funny that you mentioned that part specifically because yesterday something happened exactly with that topic.
Well, yesterday something happened to me, and before I don't know what happened because I'm really not one of these people that really believes in this stuff. But I actually had a patient. I had two patients. I had a mother and a daughter, and I looked at. They weren't there yet, and I never met them. And I looked at their names, and I had a vision, and the vision was that the child was I don't know, not identifying with their gender. So they were a they, them. And actually I had this whole vision in my head and they hadn't even come in yet. And do you know that it was that way? And I'm like, I'm still astonished. I still have no clue where that came from. No one told me. I mean, I don't even, no one even knows. We're all new at this place. I just have no idea where that came from. And usually I can say intuition, but this time I can't. So I'm a little bit weirded out about it. But anyway, I guess like the thing is that if that I was thinking, because I think about my mother per se, and I can see, I know what my mother looks like in pictures and everything, but like if I'm trying to see her in my imagination, I feel like I've lost her, and it doesn't, and even if she didn't pass, I can't see her right now, so I don't see her the way that I remembered, maybe totally or something, and it doesn't feel comforting that way. So go ahead, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really interested
Well,
in hearing.
I have to take back a little bit the idea of the lesson, so we don't derail from the topic. I
Yeah,
mean,
sure.
I seek but what belongs to me in truth. God's gifts of joy and peace are all that I want. So last night that I was having this kind of circumstances with my own PTSD, I was really asking Jesus, I don't want to have these feelings. I mean, it's not something that I know now that it's real, so I don't want them. And it's funny that you mentioned the thing about my daughter, because yesterday, for the first time ever since I'm here, I get to spend the entire morning with her, being online with me. I mean, she was watching TV, I was working, I was doing things around here, here in my house, and she was just chilling in because she's on her days off from school. So I get to spend the entire morning with her, and in some point, she said to me, like at the end of our of our time together, she said, "Mommy, I miss you, but in physical form," and I that broke my heart a little bit, because I know that's the most painful part of this experience that we are having, because she knows that I'm there, but she missed my body. She missed hugging her mom, and it's painful. So I had to really be strong and said to her, "Well, baby, I will be back in a few weeks, and we will have to learn how to feel together in a different form, because we are never apart, you know." We are never apart. And she said, "Yes, it's just that I miss you here." So part of my process during the night when I woke up was full, of course, of those ideas, and I had to really be strong in my mind to search for help to Jesus, or the higher self, or whatever, because I couldn't see clearly. And as the only thing that I want are really the gifts of joy and peace, I'm willing to hear all the all the points of view on this. So
It's
I can,
interesting. It's interesting that you said I
yeah,
couldn't see clearly.
exactly.
I'm sorry. Is anybody gonna speak?
Hi, Kanyam. Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Okay.
Hi,
May I
you're
speak?
back.
Oh yeah, I went to take a shower.
You are always go. You always go to take a shower.
It's early in the morning.
Great, that's great. It's just that it's funny for me.
Yeah, be clean, right? Your body's a temple. Matthew
Of
six three
course.
three, right? The kingdom of heaven is within you. Anyways, I was going to share something with you before I left. I wasn't. I kind of jumped back into the story, but I wanted to say three things from the course. Number one, pain is always the wrong perspective. Pain is the wrong perspective. Pain is always of the body. Most of the time, our minds are always Anyways, pain is the wrong perspective. The ego has a death wish, right? It will infinite. It will try to battle the will of God for eternity. So no matter how much as long as you identify with it, you're going to be caught up in a battle that's going to kill you, because the course defines the ego as death. Um, basically, it literally says that. And the third thing I was going to say is, whenever I kind of heard you talking about when somebody's missing somebody, And I always thought about it like they're always inside of me, inside of my heart, right? There's a thing in the course where it says, it's a section in the course that says, "I rest in God." I think that might be a lesson. I rest in God. Everybody rests inside of God, right? And for a child, it's hard to understand that. But if you tell them, if you close your eyes and you imagine me, I'm always right there, right? It's the same thing.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, because yeah, it's like you can actually, yeah, I don't know. See, it's getting me to that place where it's like it just looks different. It really does. Like we just perceive it different. So it's like it's but so like I'm looking at a plant right now with my regular eyes. Then I close my eyes and I see the plant still, but I don't. It still is different for sure. There's a,
Yeah,
you
for
know,
sure. No, totally. And
yes.
it takes devotion and understanding how to really feel your heart. And a lot of meditation, because like I said before, these are ideas, but the point of these ideas is to put them into practice, right? So
Right.
once for me, I actually have on my iPhone, I use like the reminders app, and like I set it up for every hour. It actually tells me the lesson of the day. So I do that, and then I meditate for most of my day. You know what I mean? So like, it's just everyone has that ability. It's just deconditioning all of the things that you've been taught and you've absorbed, and all of the fear-based information. Just basically getting it all out through meditation or walking or having a loving, happy, healing conversation like this, and then and the course says to heal is to make happy, right? God and true happiness are the same thing. So when you make somebody laugh, you're healing. It's that easy.
Hmm.
Exactly. That's nice. Thank you, Canyon.
Yeah.
But it definitely takes time for sure. It took me a while because the ego will try to bring back these things. You'll tell yourself, "Oh yeah, I forgave that person," and then 5 minutes later, you're walking down the street thinking about how you're gonna kill them.
Yeah.
Because they didn't give you $20 because you lend them this or that. You know what I mean? So it's just like it's just a constant discrimination of the mind.
Exactly. And I could clearly see that my daughter is in her own. I mean, I stopped since the beginning of my experience with A Course in Miracles. I stopped to try to control my daughter's experience with the world, because the course, one of the beautiful gifts that I had from this course is that the only thing that I need to teach my daughter, it's actually the decision maker process. If she wants to be
Yeah.
happy or if she wants to remain in conflict over a toy, over a circumstance with me, over a circumstance with her father or whatever. It's her choice. Even if she's very young, there's always a way to put it in words that she can relate to. I don't talk to her in the terms of the Course in Miracles. I always talk to her like, well, you're choosing,
Yeah, you really
uh,
can't. You can't
you,
do that because
yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but you made me think about like 10. I'm gonna say three things and then I'll stop talking. I'll let people speak. But Jesus, the main character in the Bible, he used veiled disclosures, right? And it says it says in chapter 9, I think. There's a lot of of course it's huge. It's so it has so much knowledge, but it says that the how did I forget? Well, I was gonna say that it says to teach love, for that is what you are, right? So you just got to tell her to love and just teach love, right? And everybody's innocent, and there's no such thing as guilt. But also, I was going to say it says in the course that salvation lies in listening to your brother, right? So like if like me and one person are sitting next to each other, and I literally don't speak, I will achieve salvation because I'm letting him speak. So just by listening, you can achieve salvation by listening to your brothers or sisters. And um like like I said, you have to use veiled disclosure. Oh yeah, so it says you need to teach, you need to start teaching indirectly, it says in the course, because the ego is manifested indirectly, so it needs to be approached indirectly, or else you're going to create a situation where it perceives a threat. Because for an insane person, everybody who is sane is insane, and then for the sane person, they can obviously see what's going on, right? But somebody who is fear based and ego, operating under the guise of their ego, they're going to perceive love as fear, because they're going to be split minded, and they're going to have that little voice inside of their head telling them, oh, what about this or that, because they're not unified. And also, it's important to remember that God has no secrets, right? You could tell your daughter that you can lie to anybody, but you can't lie to God, and you can't lie to yourself, and that's the only thing that matters.
No, it's, yeah. I mean, for kids, for little, my daughter is 6 years old, so of course, talking like in those terms will not be useful. But yeah, I get the point of what you're saying, KM, and
Yeah,
thank
only
you.
because I say that because when I
Yeah,
when I first started reading this book, it's so exciting. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it is.
So
It
then
is. I mean,
you just want to
for me,
tell
what?
people, yeah.
Yes,
But then
but
people, it's like it's like you can't just enforce. It talks about
exactly.
the unhealed healer.
Yeah, you cannot
Yeah,
enforce any idea on anybody's mind, but you can, from your demonstration, you
yeah.
can give a good example of how to move from fear
You
to
can also
love
just do
every
nothing.
single time.
Yeah, you can also
Yeah,
do nothing because it says in the course, "I need do nothing."
yeah,
So
of
you can
course.
just
I think we have to
Bob,
be. I think we have to be very careful if we tend to quote things. I'm going to say indiscriminately because we, as you both know, and everyone knows, we do have a lot of times course confusion, and it's really from levels. The idea of "I need do nothing" is applied to a specific instance when we are meditating. There are other times when we need to do something, and we have to identify a little bit more clearly what's going on and see the bigger picture. In the case of Vera missing you and missing touching you, one possibility, for example, would be, why don't you label one of your dolls "mommy,"
that's the
and
genius idea.
then when you want to feel something using that particular sense, you don't have to explain even that part. Then she can hold this particular doll and hug the particular doll at a child's level. That might be helpful, or maybe there's something else that you can think of
no,
that.
in fact, what you said is a good idea because I have told her in the past, if you miss me, you can go to your grandmother and hug her, and that's me. If you miss me, you can go to, I don't know, Liz, the maid that she's having right now, and be
What about
kind to her.
recording a video of yourself
No,
or
no, no.
something?
She is with me. I mean, she is with me every single day. I get to talk to her. She hasn't lost me because I haven't abandoned her. It's just that we are learning how to experience our love in a different kind of process. So for her, it's very difficult because she was really attached to me because I was around the house all day long, and I
Right,
did my job at home. So she never stood apart from me for more than, I don't know, a week or something. So this is the first time that she has been experiencing this pseudo separation process because I'm really there. I mean, she knows that I'm there. It's just that the physical part of me, she is what she misses, and of course, that all will not be enough. So she missed the hugs. She missed the physical love that I used to give her. So what I have tell her in the past, and I need to reinforce that idea thanks to the Bob's idea with the doll, that if she misses me, she needs to hug her grandmother or the women that are around her, because that way she will feel the love of a mother. My grandmother is the most loving grandmother that I have ever met. So of course it's the best kind of love that she can have in a physical form right now. So I'm going to have to reinforce that to her today, Bob. Thank you, because what you said gave me remind me the idea that I told her in the past, and I need
Sure.
to just bring it back.
A
Thank you.
substitute. And also, we all, A Course in Miracles is a course that we take. It's not just a pill that we take, and all of a sudden we have everything all figured out. It's more like um, a hide and seek, or
It's a practice. Yeah.
Yes.
you have to check each one out. It's a slalom course. You have to go around flag number one, then you have to go over this way and go around flag number two, then you have to go over there and go around flag number three before you get to the end. And it's really sometimes, and I know I've had it happen, and I'm sure you have, that we get together and we talk about these things, and we say, well, the course says this, and then someone else says the course says that. All of that's true, but all of those things are also connected to a particular time or a sequence or an action that, if it's taken out of context, it doesn't make any sense anymore. And we have to do the best we can to understand that these statements are part of a particular theme at the moment, and not pull in themes that are different from it and try and make some sense out of it, because it won't. Remember one thing, I think this might help. Words themselves are just symbols. They're not even the reality. I mean, the word love doesn't have the same reality to us as the feeling of love. And if we don't keep it clear that this thought attaches to that thought, attaches to this thought, then we're going to get confused. You can look up in the sky at night and see all the beautiful stars. If you want to attach some of them to get some meaning, then you can see astrological pictures. But remember, those are just ideas that have been connected in a certain way because it appeared to people that that looks like, twins, for example, or whatever. We have to. That's why we study these things. We don't just, even memorizing them is not enough. We have to understand them. The understanding takes into account when it happened, how it happened, what happened, and all of those things, to be clear, have to be attached to it so that we don't get confused. It's easy to get confused if we're the type of person that tends to memorize stuff. We just have to be careful that we're memorizing this thought from that chapter and another thought from a different chapter. And then when we do that, it helps. That's why we have teachers, because the teachers have been doing it for some time and probably made the same mistake many times. I know I have. And I think of one thing that I thought applied here, but then I found out, no, that doesn't really apply. Something else applies better. So we play through these things, and then it becomes clear. Everything has a place, and it's tagged to time, or it's tagged to a space. Tom talks about time and space. They're all illusions. Yes, they are, because thoughts are thoughts, but they're not sitting in front of me. I don't have a thought that sits in front of me. It's not physical. So we have all of these different ways of looking at things, and we're trying to sort it all out. And that's what we're doing. So we're just, at some point, we just have to simply say, okay, what is the logical explanation here? What is the intelligent way to look at it? And not accept what would be a level confusion just because we remember those words. Like, for example, I need to do nothing. Kayam, you haven't been here in this room, but I don't know how many times that has come up. The idea that I need to do nothing. Well, okay, I'm just not going to do anything right now. And that works when you're in meditation. And then when we go back through the
No, but it's
lessons,
not only for meditation. In fact, I have
oh,
found that,
sure. Hmm.
yeah, okay. I have found, because I have found that really helpful. When, well, I confess to be a controller freak sometimes, and I didn't even knew about it. And the course gave me this like mantra: you need to do nothing. Whenever you have somebody around you that is in pain or is having a hard circumstance, your ego always jumps in, like trying to be the savior. And when you try to be the savior, you're trying to heal outside or to fix outside. It's when the conflict begins, because then you start to do all the things that makes the the problem a real thing.
Sure.
And there's sometimes that you really just not need to do nothing, but you need to really be within yourself with that information, because that information is related to you, so you don't get to do nothing outside. I always take that sentence like that, like you need to do nothing, not because you don't have to do anything. It's just that all the information that it's out there, it's the information that you need to recollect within yourself to change something in your mind, in the perception of things. And
Sure.
therefore, you will have the inspiration to do something that is helpful, even if it is just saying, yeah, that sucks.
Very true. Very true. And if you combine that with the idea that we are taught that the ego is the first thing that usually jumps in to solve anything, that gives us a really good clue as to what that impulse is. Okay. But also, Lee, in his reading today, talked about we are not, we cannot accept not a responsibility. We're not the cause ever of a miracle. So sometimes the idea of need do nothing means get out of the way so
Exactly.
the miracle can happen. And sometimes there's nothing we can do. So get out of the way, let a miracle come through, because miracles they're always there. They will come through. And it may be that the solution doesn't come from me, comes from someone else, because I need to be quiet long enough so that they can come up with a solution. And all of this is really good to talk about because we also have our own confusions going on in our own mind as we go through the course, not just once, but several times. Then we begin to see things in better perspective. That perspective gives us a sense of when certain things need to be applied and when they shouldn't be applied. We can easily confuse ourselves if we don't get that perspective. So, to ask for perspective, like the drone that rises and sees more of the landscape and sees, oh, that's the reason that happened. But that didn't happen in this case. So, this calls for something different. All of these things clarify for us. And it's great to talk about it because, in some cases, talking about it, like Andy was saying, this is what I thought then. Now I understand it better. That kind of clarity really helps us the most to understand that in all things and in all times, it's all good. It's possible that this is working out just the way it's supposed to be. And you do what you can to soften the blow on somebody else if they're feeling like they're missing something, like Vera. Whatever you can do, it's always trying to do the best you can. And if the best doesn't seem very good, don't do it yet and let something else happen. Then you're in cahoots with God. You're in cahoots with your Holy Spirit, and your Holy Spirit will come up with something else. And sometimes it's just a thought. So you have to wait until it comes to you.
Yeah,
I
just like it did
experienced
with
that.
your idea with the doll. I forgot that I have told Vera that kind of resolution, and it really works. I mean, and it makes me happy because it's a good way to teach her the concepts of the book, to teach her, well, if you miss me physically because you don't get, I mean, for you it's not enough that we are talking like this in virtual mode. If you're physically missing me, go and hug your grandmother, or go and hug Liz the maid, whatever. That's me as well. That it's a good way to teach her this, and I know she will appreciate that. I'm really glad for that piece of wisdom that came from you, Bob.
Thanks. Well,
That it's all of us. I mean, everybody here has given me light today. So this is the God's gift of joy and peace that I really want.
for sure. So it's 8:08. No, it's 8:13 now, and I think it's probably time to wrap it up. Lee is not back yet, so Adriana, would you like to just bring it to a close?
Yeah, well, I am here in his. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I have the control here. So, do you want me to um, read something, or do you want to read something, Bob, or should we just close the session right now?
Well,
I
I'll
I'd
leave it
like to
done. I can
remind you
see.
guys that tomorrow morning we'll be here at 6:37 reading
thank you.
lesson 105. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I
Ask and
really
you shall
appreciate it.
receive.
You all have a fantastic day.
Thank you very much. He's flying the plane from up from afar. He's having his
It's a Course
how
in
do we say
Miracles
it?
radio station.
Yeah.
Great.
He's so cool about that. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you,
Anytime.
Kaya, and thank you for staying with us and having this conversation. For me, it was beautiful, and I hope that everybody have a beautiful day today. And I'm gonna just wait a little bit until everybody leaves.
And
So
Tiffany too. Yeah.
yeah, Tiffany, thank you very much for your sharing, and I will see you tomorrow. We will see you tomorrow.
And we'll be back with 105, the lesson. But today, let's see. The lesson, the things that we want to think about. I seek but what belongs to me in truth. God's gift of joy and peace are all I want. Those things belong to me in truth. We can have joy and peace wherever we are. That's not
Yes.
written. I said it.
Well, it's a good addition.
There you
So
go.
thank you very much, everybody. Have a wonderful day. I'm gonna be ending the room